Hello and welcome to interest.co.nz. I'm Gareth Vaughan with another of our double shot interviews, and I'm joined by Bob Fast, who is the President and CEO of TIP Trailer Services. Hi Bob, and thanks for making some time for us. Now, TIP is, part of China's Hna Group, which is acquiring UDC Finance, New Zealand's biggest finance company. If you could just start off by telling us a little bit about TIP, because we understand that UDC is going to sort of sit within TIP or work with TIP once this deal is complete. So we'd be interested to hear a little bit about TIP to begin with.
Great. So TIP is part of Hna Capital, and we're the largest trailer leasing and rental and maintenance company in Europe. And we operate in 16 companies in Europe. And then we're, the second largest leasing and rental company in Canada as well. So it's mostly semi-trailers, a lot of container chassis in the ports around Europe, and then a lot of waste tankers and other kinds of tankers for different businesses around Europe, edibles, cement, etc.
So what has attracted you to UDC in New Zealand?
I think a couple of things. First, I think Hna likes to acquire businesses with leading shares in the markets they're in, and then the second thing is there's a very strong management team, and that's very important for the way Hna operates its businesses. They like to retain the top management, they like to invest in the top management, and they want them to stay to run the business going forward.
So you need to get the approval of the Overseas Investment Office and the Reserve Bank of New Zealand. Assuming that is achieved and the deal goes through, how is UDC going to operate within the Hna Group?
Yeah, so UDC will be a separate company. It'll roll up under Global TIP Holdings, which is the TIP Trailer Services holding company, but it'll be operated as a separate entity with a board and managed by Wayne and the team here locally, and then reporting into a board composed of a couple of local non-exec board members and a couple of members of my team.
And what are your plans for UDC? I mean, what is TIP and Hna going to bring, to the New Zealand asset financing market to begin with?
I think the focus is really going to be to continue to grow the business. I think Wayne and the team have really done just a super job over the last few years continuing to grow the business. I think we plan to invest further, grow faster. We've already hired a number of people. I think we repatriated a back office team from India here, and now we've taken on new sales and marketing personnel, and our view is to grow the business very substantially.
Yeah, Wayne was mentioning off camera that the plan is to increase the staff numbers by about 50 to about 200?
Absolutely.
And what about in terms of what UDC offers, to TIP and the Hna Group, Hna Capital? Are there any ideas or processes or indeed, management from here that you want to take overseas? Are you looking to, take UDC global or to China or Europe or anything like that?
I think it's a little bit too early to tell. Separation is likely to happen from ANZ sometime end of September, October, and until that time, we haven't really fixed any plans to expand the business outside New Zealand for the moment.
But it's possible?
Certainly possible.
Okay. And funding is obviously a very key aspect of running a finance company. How is UDC going to be funded once the takeover is complete?
It'll be a combination of securitization and a debenture program like the one that exists. Will be run out probably in the next 3 to 4 weeks. We'll be able to announce that more clearly. Yeah.
Okay, so one of the things that has come out, with the takeover bid from Hna was Standard & Poor's saying that it would downgrade the UDC credit rating, which has been equalised with ANZ significantly, even to, what's referred to junk status. I mean, if that happens in terms of your debenture program, that would suggest the interest rates offered would have to be a lot higher than they have been?
I don't think so. I think that if you look at securitization in particular, before moving on to the debentures, it's based on the assets and the quality assets in the program. And so we don't expect a higher interest rate than we've got today, frankly. If you look at TIP, we were also bought by Hna, and we were part of GE Capital, which had a very high credit rating. We're still financing it at the same rates that we were, prior to the acquisition. And we've grown our asset portfolio by about 20% per year over the last 3 years. So I don't see any real issue out there. And then I think in terms of the debentures, again, UDC is a standalone separate entity from Hna, and anybody owning debentures today would be well placed and well positioned to own debentures in the future.
Okay. And do you see any particular areas, I guess, in the New Zealand market where you might look for UDC to grow?
Wow, that's a great question. I think there are a lot of great assets today. I think, again, we'd love to expand that range somewhat, but I think UDC has always had a very good market position in the asset where it wants to be, and I think we'll continue that, maybe look at a few new things, but I think the tried and true is normally the better way to go forward, yeah.
So no plans to, obviously UDC's been a very successful company. It's been around for 75 or more years, I think, than that, and has really stuck to its knitting in asset financing. You plan to stay within asset financing? No plans to expand into other areas?
Stay with the asset financing.
Okay. Obviously TIP is part of the Hna Group, which is an enormous Chinese conglomerate, I guess the best way to describe it. What can you tell us a little bit about Hna? I mean, who owns Hna?
Okay, so Hna is owned by a number of private shareholders. There's a group, there are a couple of foundations in there and a couple of different funds, right? So it's a pretty broad-based ownership for the company. And then in terms of Hna, yes, it's a pretty big company, but focused in a few key areas, right? It's a conglomerate, but really focused on a couple of areas around tourism, which includes aviation, hotels, et cetera. Hna Capital, which is another big part of the group, and then logistics areas, yeah.
And it's obviously a Chinese company. It's always interesting with the major Chinese companies to try and get an understanding of the relationship between the government and the company. So, I mean, what's the relationship like between Hna and the Chinese government?
Well, hopefully it's a good one, and hopefully it's a good one again with New Zealand, with Australia, with Amsterdam, with the U.S. and all the countries where Hna operates.
Do you get much, visibility into the broader Hna Group from your position at TIP?
No, we do. We have, typically we'll have quarterly board meetings, and usually at the quarterly board meetings, it's a group of companies that'll come together. So it's like, for example, at the last board meeting, you would have Avalon, which is aviation leasing, Gate Group, which provides gourmet foods for the airlines, et cetera. And you meet all those people, and it's just a great way to get spin-off ideas from other companies in the business.
There's been a bit of media speculation in recent times about Hna and in some of the international press around the relationship with the government and ownership and these types of things. I mean, is there any light you can shed on any of that?
I think in terms of Hna's relationships with different governments, it's just speculation, right? There's been a lot in the press. I don't know more than that.
So the deal, $660 million New Zealand dollar deal, and obviously you need the Overseas Investment Office and the Reserve Bank to approve it. Have you got those processes underway?
Yes, the OIO application was filed in March. So typically they talked about 3 months to 4 months. So we expect to hear something coming back maybe in June. And the RBNZ application is not necessary for the acquisition, but more if we decide to launch a debentures program, yeah.
Right. So if you decide, so are you not sort of certain that you'll...
I think we're going to, right? But I think we'll know a bit more clearly in the next few weeks. Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, appreciate your time, Bob. That's Bob Fast, who's the President and CEO of TIP Trailer Services, and I'm Gareth Vaughan at interest.co.nz.